The following live broadcast is rated ESV 16, suitable for viewing by audience of 16 years of age or older. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow Ear Shoulder Voice on YouTube and Facebook, or visit our website at www.earshouldervoice.com.
We've got to work together.
Good evening, and what a beautiful day. You woke up this morning, things were fantastic all around. You jump in that shower, you get out, you get motivated, you get your day moving, and you're just one happy camper. Isn't that the way it works for everybody? Well, sadly, no, it's not the way it works for everybody. A lot of people out there have a struggle just trying to get out of bed during the day. They wake up and they will sit in the bed for hours and hours, sometimes the whole day, and never move. Sometimes if they go to try to do something or they go out with friends, they're stuck in the corner and they don't want to even converse. Sometimes they don't even have the energy to get up and go talk to friends because they're suffering from many, many different reasons from depression. And every single step and every single thing they do during the day is a struggle for them. Hi, I'm Keith Litfin for Ear Shoulder Voice. Today's topic is We've Got the Funk, dealing with depression. Most of our panelists today have definitely experienced depression on their own level, some very severely, some mildly. We're going to talk to all of them and find out. Please don't forget, while you're there, though, like, share, follow, and subscribe to Ear Shoulder Voice on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all the good ones, and we're out there. Then you can get notified of all our live broadcasts at our website, www.earshouldervoice.com, or you can even be a guest panelist just by signing up. So be sure to do that and you won't miss a thing. But of course, the one thing about dealing with depression that a lot of people have is they just don't feel they have anybody around you. But here at Ear Shoulder Voice, we want you to engage in the chat. We want you to talk to us so we can respond to you live. We'll have a conversation with you because you're nothing without the friends you keep around you. And speaking of the friends I'm keeping around me, let's meet our panel. All right, our first panelist, you know her. She's one of our main features here at Ear Shoulder Voice. She's always got a bright, cheery attitude and sometimes some dark stories, and she blends the two together so you'd never know how wonderful life is or how miserable it is. Because one thing about people who are depressed, they hide it well. But here she is, Nikki. How you doing?
Hi, Keith.
Hello. How is your day going?
It is going fabulous.
I know. It's always amazing, is it not?
I mean, yeah, you gotta give thanks where thanks is due. Every day you wake up, you gotta make something of it. Have I been in a place where I didn't want to? Yeah. But I try to make it at the end of every day. I show my grace for the day instead of my hate for what happened and just move on.
Well, that's what you got to do.
Well, it took me a long time to get to that place. It took me a very long, dark time in my life to get to that place. But by golly, I got here. So, yeah.
You know, you see everything in the light, but the darkness and the shadows, they cover everything else. So it's hard to see when you're suffering from a lot of that, all the good aspects. Once you learn how to get through it and look at the good things that did surround you, you realize that there's actually a balance that keeps you going a lot of times.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And speaking of another one that likes to do balance here, please welcome Anthony. Anthony is good at his balancing act because Anthony, I know you. I've talked to you, Anthony. You've got some issues going on, and you always try to keep that smile on your face.
Got to.
Yes, you do. You absolutely do.
Keep smiling.
Mm-hmm.
So how has your day been, Anthony?
Oh, it's been good.
How's your week been?
It's been beautiful.
All right. How was 2020?
Oh, 2020 was. Whew.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So, you're one that deals that you got the funk, you've got depression. Everybody on here that you're going to meet tonight does, of course, deal with it on a regular basis. What are some of your biggest concerns with that? What keeps you not wanting to get up sometimes or not wanting to proceed with your day?
A lot of the time, it's just the thought of what's the point.
That's
right? That's the biggest one for me. Is I'll want to do things, but when I get into those mindsets, it's just what's the point? And I can't really answer that on those days.
you really summarize 90% of people who are depressed. And that is the main topic that goes in their head is just why? What's the reason behind it? Well, we're going to see if we can discover some of those reasons in just a minute. I'm going to bring our next panelist. Please welcome for a second show ever. We absolutely love you. Please say hello to Gail Marie. Gail Marie, how you doing?
Hey, not too bad. The world's crazy, but Disney is great, and I've been watching some animated shorts today with my fiance, which has, made all the crap go away.
Disney's famous for that. But,
Yeah.
Disney can cause just as much. I mean, like every feature, they got to kill a parent or something.
Oh, I know. It's a specialty.
Yeah, kids don't have parents in Disney flicks. If they do, they're just a pair of legs or something.
Basically.
That's all they are. You see them, the legs just walk by, and that's mom and dad.
Yep.
But they do got to get over the whole killing of animals. Bambi's mom,
I know.
Mufasa, all that crap. Even Nemo's dad's wife, that wasn't cool.
But they gotta get the tears, because the tears get in the box.
That is true. That is true. Oh my god, a cartoon makes me feel emotional, and now I'm all about it. So is that your secret? One of your secrets, is just to put on something lighthearted and funny?
I think you guys have already touched on some stuff that, I'm working through. I am very lucky to have a fiance that is very supportive. My fiance has gone through a lot when they were younger, and so they're at a place where they can help me now. And so I have that support system in place, but I'm not at the place where I'm positive all the time, and so I'm working through little things that I can do to show that it's okay to have mental health disorders, but I also want to get to a place where I have ways to cope with it. So that's why I wanted to be a part of this discussion today.
Okay, well, that's the more the merrier, because the more perspectives you have on it, because everybody who's suffering from, anything, not just depression, but dealing with anything, it's a different experience for them.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And oftentimes when you talk to one person, they haven't shared the same kind of episodes that you have, so you feel that you're not really talking to somebody who understands. So we like to hope we get a good variety here so people can say, I relate to that person more than I do the other one. Mm-hmm. And someone who's always got a good relation to the topics we're talking about, even if it's not pop culture, please welcome Gabe. Gabe, what's going on?
How are you?
I'm good. You might be our final panelist tonight. One of them might have had to drop out. We're not sure yet. But glad to have you on here, Gabe.
Glad to be here.
So, Gabe, depression, does that ring a bell for you somehow?
Every single day.
Every single day.
Yeah.
So how severe would you say it? I mean, what is the thoughts? When do you first, notice that you don't want to go on or move or do whatever?
It's day to day. It's as soon as you wake up and you look in the mirror, and it's sort of do I like what I see in the mirror today? And sometimes it's yes, oftentimes it's not, and you sort of go from there,
That's unfortunately the truth for a lot of people. They really do. I'm going to get to just a couple comments really quick. I want to get to Bill's comment here, because Bill said he thought this was supposed to be the sex talk part 2. It kind of is. It's kind of sex with Bill part 2, dealing with depression. All right, so it's kind of the same thing, Bill. Don't worry, we got you. And Sherry Dillingham, a little no pop toppy Route 32. I don't know. And still Bill Withers. Well, I'm confused now. Lean on me, maybe? I don't know. All right. So, maybe he's talking about Gabe. Bill Withers.
Bill Withers?
Yeah, I think you're like Bill Withers. I don't know. The voice could be something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, Gabe's got that smooth operator voice.
He does. He's got that pillow talk voice.
Yeah.
It's a deviated septum and years of cigarettes.
I want a deviated septum then.
No, you do
Don't
not.
wish for that.
I want
You
to
don't
sound
wish for
sexy
that.
I want to sound sexy on the web.
Yeah, sleep apnea is very, very sexy.
I think you can get an app or something to change your voice to make that happen.
Yeah.
You don't have to wear the Darth Vader mask, do you?
I need to. I haven't.
You
I
might,
haven't yet, but I do.
or Bane from Batman or something, like the Bane thing.
I think it's
Well,
like Darth Vader-esque. I think it's. I mean,
you know what? We gotta stop doing this because she's gonna research this and she's gonna come on the next show. So like, hi, I'm Nikki. How are you doing? It's good to see you all here.
I'm sure there's apps for that. Yeah.
Yep. One of the most important things I think when people are dealing with depression is finding a way to see laughter in the things that are around you, to still be able to find humor. Does anybody here have a problem finding humor when they're in those moods? Because I know sometimes I get depressed and I'm like, leave me the fuck alone. Don't talk to me. And if you're funny, it pisses me off because I want to laugh.
yeah.
But how dare you take me out of that mood?
Yeah.
Sure.
Does anybody else deal with that?
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's a balance. I think that there are times where you just want to be in that mood. And then there's times where you want to be cheered up and want to laugh and want to get out of that mode. But sometimes and some days you just can't handle humor. You can't handle someone trying to get you out of it because it's like, I need to sulk in this for a little bit. I need to just be in it.
You know, that's actually one of the things that pulled this show together was the fact that we wanted to be able to talk about topics that were deep like this. And I think we only had one where we had a really hard time finding any way to inject humor in it. And that was, I believe, the abuse one. But the whole point was that you can still talk about your problems and you can find a way to enjoy the conversation and have a little fun and make it a little lighthearted.
Yeah.
And I think people forget how to do that sometimes.
Right.
What about you, Gabe? What's your secret? I mean, does anybody
Well,
should ask first? Well, go ahead. Then
That's
I'll
the
ask.
coping mechanism, right? I mean, sometimes everybody on this panel has had days so bad and had so many things go wrong within minutes of each other that it just can't get any worse. And at that point, it's absurdity, and it's almost comical how much the universe sort of lines up to mess with you in those moments. And that, it's at that point, the mechanism comes on and you just gotta laugh, or things like that. It's just, or else it's
Now, who on this panel does that humor concept actually work for, where if somebody makes them laugh, it does pull them out more than back away from it?
I mean, I could definitely say for sure, if you want to go ahead first, I'm always talking.
Yeah, you're talking to Anthony?
Yeah.
I was like,
For me, if it's dark humor, it'll bring me out. But it's got to be some like really dark humor. And sometimes I feel like there's something wrong with me for finding some of the things I find funny.
no, I think it's because it actually is humor from where you are emotionally.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's not humor from a lighthearted place where you have nothing in you that is lighthearted at the moment. First, I want to get to Bill before we continue and go to Nikki's response on that. Girls taking their shirts off, make them sound sexy. This is why we have to rate our shows, Bill.
I will say this. I gotta say it really quiet, so my husband doesn't hear me. I put a hoodie on over my workout tank, and I'm like, maybe I'll just. And I'm like, no, I better not. I'll get myself in trouble. But I thought of you, Bill, in a moment. It was related to your comment, just to say sorry for not being here. But he might watch it, and then I'll be in big trouble.
Yeah, you got to be careful of that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So you were saying about the humor pulling you out, Nikki.
Yeah, sorry, you guys. That's just me. I'm always trying to like make light heart of every scenario, and before I never used to be that way. It's something I've had to train myself to be, because I mean, do I still have rough days? Hell yeah, I do. Do I still have days where I don't want to get up and do nothing? Absolutely. I think it's okay, to an extent. If we're talking weeks, months, sometimes it's okay to take a self-care day, take a mental health day. Let yourself just be. Just be. And let your mind and body and everything align.
Do you think that's ever a
Yeah.
problem with spiraling out of control, though? Because I find sometimes you take that one day and it turns into two,
Yeah,
and then three, and the energy's gone to want to do things for the day.
yeah, I mean, for sure, it comes from where your headspace is. Okay, so, I mean, it's learning how to control your subconscious mind into tricking your daytime mind, if you will, into being happy. Because you deserve to. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have hope. You deserve to, have better days, not sad days.
Well, the issue with depression in general is it's really hard to see how you deserve that.
Right.
Well, I
It's-
understand.
When you're fighting, Bill says that
Yeah.
dealing with depression is a lifelong problem. 23 years for him and 10 years for his daughter. And the thing with depression that a lot of people don't see is that it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
For most people, it's you learn to conquer it, you learn to control it, but it does not disappear. Like that's something I've done over the last, I don't know, couple years for some reason. I was definitely hit by my mom, but I was depressed before that, and it's got worse and worse. And somehow I found a way to conquer it. It still creeps up every once in a while,
Yeah.
but I find more ways. I couldn't sleep at night. I mean, I literally am a person who, for no reason, would burst out into tears crying at night, and I might wake up from a dream and just be so sad beyond belief and just bawling my eyes out. One of my fears I always said was death, which depresses me, but it does for other people, which it's the thought of not having people there, and I've lost most of them. And another thing he says is being in contact with good, true friends helps. And hello, my good, true friends, by the way.
So to expand on that, Nikki, you said that you weren't always like that. And I had a general question for everybody is if you weren't always like that, around what age would you think that it happened?
Yeah, I that's a great question because I thought of it and I would have lost it would have been lost in Nikki's brain if you didn't ask it. But I want to say like 30, like mid 30s to now. So I'll be 44 this year. Probably around my 40th. My 40th was pretty magical. Everybody was like so terrified to hit 40, and I hit 40, and I was like, okay, I think this is a growing
Yeah.
phase in my life. So, yeah, for me personally.
Right.
Right. So that's what about you, Gail Marie?
Are you, Nikki, are you more talking about like when you made the decision to be more positive and take those steps, or are you talking about more of when the depression got really bad for you?
No, more of just a conscious effort to be more positive.
Okay.
Because it definitely did, it didn't happen overnight.
Right.
I'm not perfect, and I still have days where it's the angel and the devil.
Right.
And I have more angel than I do devil these days.
Yeah.
But I'm a fiery redhead, even though I'm a natural blonde, but I'm a fiery redhead. It's somehow soaked in, and he creeps out every now and then, but that's it's a conscious effort every single day. But about my 40th, it was just like, I'm sick of living this life. I'm sick of this.
That's when you did.
So-
I think Gabe was also referring to at what point did it start, and Ashley asked the question as well. Was there an age or event that triggered everyone's depression? So that's a good question. I want to go around the table for that, and let's start with we're going to start with Gail Marie actually.
Of course, yeah. So I'm going to be honest and vulnerable and say that I'm not at the point where Nikki is right now. I'm at that point where I'm still trying to figure out coping mechanisms and ways to get out of that funk. And I just kind of put a mask on and just kind of go through when I need to. But I would say the depression hit for me at the end of high school. The bullying was getting pretty bad for me, and I was ready for college, but at the same time, I just didn't know where I was going or what I wanted to do. And so that's where it really, really got bad for me, I would say. And I'm in my early 30s right now.
Was there any event you think that pushed you to that? Was there just a moment, or did it just slowly creep up on you?
One of my best friends at the time betrayed me in a pretty big way, and so she was kind of my world, and so I think that was kind of the start of my main support source wasn't support anymore. And so that's kind of where it all hit.
It is, and if she's your world, one of the things of depression, even the description of the show, was the world crashing down around you.
Right,
And when you
definitely.
lose one of the biggest things that's your world, that's the start for a lot of people. What about you, Anthony?
Well, I would say it didn't really start setting in till about 28, so 4 years ago now. And it's definitely kind of reaching its rock bottom at the moment. So I'm finally getting to the point where I have things that I can do to kind of get myself out of it. Sometimes it works quickly. Sometimes I go a day or two without doing anything.
What are some of those tricks?
Keeping my mind busy.
Hmm.
So, like, not necessarily something I might not enjoy doing it at the start, but it's things that I know I love to do, and that when I start doing them, my mind just shuts off, and I just go kind of in like automatic mode, and then my mind will come back and kind of get to a neutral state. I wouldn't say happy state, but like not so down in the dumps anymore.
Now, if you had to rank your depression, like personally, as far as 10 being suicidal on a daily basis and 1 being, you just wake up sad sometimes, where would you probably put that?
Say like a 6 or 7.
That's a good rate. Nobody wants to be at a 10, obviously, as I said that. But the thing is it's no matter who you are, your depression is severe. That's one of the reasons I was asking you, because it doesn't matter really what the depression is or what it is. It's severe because it does hinder your entire life. And to find those little things that you found to try to control it is really good. I'm going to move on to Gabe. Gabe, what about you?
So next week I'm actually coming back from work from being off of 3 months for just this instance. So a lot of things sort of going on in my life, affecting other people in my life, and dealing with that, which, it's been a blessing to a certain degree, because I've been able to help out to a certain effect with, my kid and stuff like that, dealing with her and some of my other family members who are ailing. But at the same time, it's like, with the depressive sort of view, sometimes it's counterproductive to be home without that sort of that goal, as far as like a job or things like that. And what he was saying, I think to have that just purpose, any sort of purpose in general, to get you to the next hour, I think is very helpful. And there's good ways of doing that, which is, by trying to do productive things like what he's doing, or else sort of escaping into things that just kill time. Either way, you can sort of get through those situations. It's just obviously some of them are more productive than others.
Yeah, well, everyone's got their own thing. For some people, literally, making popsicle stick houses is going to be a task that's going to get them through depression. Other people, it's going to take a trip to Disney World, or it's going to take something, extravagant like that. There's no size limit as to what's going to help one person or another. Just find something that can definitely take your mind off of it. Before I go on to Nikki and then myself to that question, I want to say Bill says his father's death was the beginning of his depression. That was 1998. I quit drinking and smoking for a year. My daughter was born, and I was the happiest man on the planet. Then his father died 3 weeks later. I started everything back up. And that's similar to my story, which I'll get to in a minute, because that's kind of similar. But first, I'm going to go over to Nikki.
Yes. So I think growing up, I suffered probably mild depression. I always had I know I always had weight issues growing up. I was a very shy child, always very emotional. I was the crier. I was also a little girl, and that's how we are, but I think I was extra. But my severe depression really hit the first time when my children were taken from me. My oldest 2 were taken from me, and basically, I was told I'm not good enough, to be their mother. So I definitely spiraled. I came out of the spiral ready to fight and work my ass off, but without getting too deep, it's really its own show into that subject. I was doomed from the beginning. Crookedness at its finest. But I came out of it. I did get better. I have younger children too, and they helped me tremendously feel my worth. But then when I lost my dad in my early 30s. And on top of losing my dad, during his funeral procession, like half a mile from the cemetery ready to bury him, I was thrown off the back of a motorcycle at about 35 miles an hour. I was fucked up for a while. And I was messed up in the head. I had just lost my dad, who was my best friend. My mom disowned me when everything happened with my children. She could have stepped in and helped me, and she turned her back on me in that instance. So I was messed up, you guys, but sure. I've used music to cope. I've used humor to cope. My children have given me the purpose to not want to off myself, because I was at that place of suicide. I was deep. But I'm in a much better place, even though I'm still that crier. Like I'm still the crier sometimes.
The memories are still hard.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm here to say it gets better. You have to trust and believe that the process of, all this horrible shit we go through and survive is for purpose. Right. It may not be in this season of your life, but in another season, you can come together with others, via the internet to help other people because you went through some shit. So, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, well, Keith? I knew you were going to switch to me. I knew that was coming. I was waiting. Before I do, because I want to, I'm going to relate to this as well. First, Bill said the last 5 years he's lost 31 family members and close friends. That's where it gets really tough, especially as you get older. You start to view death more. I think that's why depression hits a lot of people as they start to get older. Because when you're young, dealing with death is not a hard thing. Most people don't deal with it at a young age, or they deal with one or two. As you get older, you start dealing with multiple ones a year, and then several in almost everybody you know, which gets really hard. And so for some people, it's the fear of who's next, am I next? And
it makes you realize that we're not immortal.
Right.
And all the more reason to live each and every day to its fullest.
Yeah.
And finding a reason to do that.
Absolutely. And the other thing Ashley says, Lewis, he was on our last show. That's Ashley's boyfriend, husband, fiance, whatever you want to call him right now. I never know people's stages in life. He relates to Bill very much about starting with the death of his father. And I kind of do too, but it's not my father. Now, my depression didn't start there. I was, like you, Nikki, I was an overweight kid. Surprisingly, I know by this hourglass girlish figure I have now, people wouldn't guess it. But when I was, and I never really let that stop me. My mom was always good about pointing out that I was so important, it didn't matter. And my friends, and Gabe is actually one of them. Gabe was my best friend growing up as a kid. And they made me realize that I was just a good person. That it was fun being around me. Nothing else mattered. So that pulled me out. Then I had my stepfather, led to a little bit more depression because I became more isolated from that a little bit, and forcefully isolated kind of, because my mom was never that way, but my stepdad was. And I was good, and I was the demon in high school. I was the messed up kid. I thought I was the devil. I would say the weirdest things. I would get in so much trouble. I went to therapy, blah, blah, blah. And high school cured me. By the time I got out of high school, I was fun-loving. I didn't care. I just enjoyed life. And I had a lot of fun. And my depression started to disappear. And I thought things were going grand. My fiance died shortly after. And when she was killed by the drunk driver, that surprisingly didn't send me in depression. That changed my life big time. I felt live for the moment, live for the day. The big thing that started more recently was the loss of my mom, even though it was 11 years ago now. It started with the loss of my mom. That took me down because that was my world at the time. I had found out how much of a best friend my mom was. It was so sudden. and we just had never, I don't know, we never connected the way we had at that point in my life. So it was something totally new, and that hurt. But what really hurt was that everybody in my life that I cared about had passed away and was continuing to do so. And it did all the way till I am, aside from my brother, my only family member.
Yeah.
At least living in the area. I got my brother and I've got me. That spiraled it out of control, but I still found a way to get through it. One of the biggest ways I would get through it was work. The crowds, entertaining. Throw my energy, turn it around, entertain the world with it. Similar to what I did with this show was take the energy, turn it around, give the world something back.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. But the more recent one, COVID had a lot to do with it. As I'm sure it did for a lot of people out there. And that was because for the first time in my life, I felt I could not take care of things myself. I've never had that feeling before. I've never ever felt that I was unable to handle things. Bills are coming due. I'm afraid I'll lose my house, my car, everything, and that's still going on. And I can't pull myself out of that because I can't bring myself, even though I have done it twice, to ask for help. It hurts me so much, and the more people help, the worse I feel.
Right.
Or even imply that you're not up with the Joneses, you know.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
the difficulty with that, you know, the pride, I don't know where that comes from, but
Right.
Deep in the pit of your stomach sometimes
Right.
Yeah.
that pride does.
yeah.
And I think an important thing to note, if I can,
Hi, Wayne. Go ahead.
is help is hard to get, even if you get to that stage of wanting to get help. You know, I am only now getting into therapy because of federal money in my state. It is
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars a session. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. That's
Yeah.
the
It's-
problem is it
exhausting.
adds to it.
Yeah. Because we preach these ideas of get help, get help, get help, get help, but then when you finally get to that stage, what the hell do you do? You know? And so I think that it's really great that media and that, you know, social media and all these things are putting mental health more into shows and movies and trying to expose it. But I think we also need to have a conversation around making mental health care more affordable and having resources that are free or really cheap, because I can barely make my rent, much less try to get medication or see a doctor or see a therapist. So
Bill's going to be leaving us. I can't help that. I understand, Bill. This can be a really tough topic for people
yeah,
sometimes.
thanks for hanging out, Bill.
Bill, you've stuck with us through some major topics before, so we all need
Yeah.
our moments sometimes. So I'm glad you were here, Bill, because you are. Bill's an amazing guy. He really is.
Yeah.
Especially the way he talks. He's a pervert, but he's amazing.
That's why I couldn't do sex.
Everybody's got their thing, you know.
He's the designated
handle it.
Oh, you couldn't have handled Bill? Oh,
Couldn't
Bill would have been
do
thrilled.
sex show.
That was going to be that was a tough one. It was really tough because our main female panelists canceled on us.
I'm sorry. I just, you know, when your
Oh, I know.
husband says please don't, I'm like,
Yeah, that's what my fiance said too.
yeah. Which, you know, it could have been harmless. It really is about how I allow the conversation to go.
Yeah.
However, it's the side chatter, you know. Some men just can't allow their women to have some fun. No,
That's true, unfortunately.
I'm kidding.
I know, but that's what led to Bill's depression. I actually thought that was going to be his
Aw.
date. He'd be like, last week when Lenny and Linky weren't there.
You know, I was you guys, I've been kind of sitting here like processing this, and I thought of something in relation to the question that Gabe kind of initiated that, you know, came to. And I was thinking like back to a time when I didn't take that turn for the south instead of the north.
Right.
And I think I can solidly say it was not this past summer, but the summer before, when my family was homeless. We lived in campgrounds, you guys. Every 2 weeks, we would change campsites. And we went like all over Michigan. We made it such an adventure. I mean, but the whole time my children But I'm proud to say, instead of, jumping off the cliff and running south, we're in a home now. The fight, it was like not the end of the battle. It was the beginning of the war for us. And that's when it was time to really dig deep into, that gut telling you that you were worthy of something better. So go get it. So that's what we did. Even living in a campground, it was actually, we have a lot of humorous stories from the raccoons that would taunt us when we would go stay. One of the best ones was out in, I can't think of the name of it. I can't believe that, but starts with the B here in Michigan. Pretty nice campground. It had multiple sites. Some were rustic, and then some were like they had electric and everything. We would stay at the rustic one because we're there a long time and it was cheaper. So we didn't have running water. We had access to all that, but rustic, I'm talking like back in the woods where not just, mosquitoes built their homes there decades ago, but these fucking little raccoons, man. There was like a gang of 20 of those bastards. They were getting into people's tents around by us, like stealing beer. I remember waking up to these kids.
The Great Outdoors is all that's in my head right now.
Seriously?
The Great Outdoors.
Seriously. So, it was in that moment, you guys. It was in that moment that I think me personally, had realized, okay, in a time, I would have run, I would have surely jumped off the cliff had I not been in, just, I don't know, just something clicked. And we came out the other side. A shiny little turd.
Well, life and depression, like I said, with me, it works for a lot of people. It does. It's a roller coaster because you'll go through periods of doing great, and then something will set you back, and then you'll think it's gone, and it'll come back. It doesn't change. What were you going to say, Gabe?
One of the silver linings, I think, in that situation is as long as you have love in your household, it's your situation. Obviously, you were going through a ton, and I completely understand yours. But as far as your children, it might be actually a good memory for them. As far as, kind of an adventure as far as doing that,
Hi, Danielle. We missed you.
I mean, have you talked to them about that or that experience?
Our family is very close, and for them it was like they got a break from it. Right. Because they had their dad's house, they would go every other week too. So they were doing that at that time. So they did get a break from it. It wasn't, they weren't in the trenches with me. There was times where me and my husband, to save a buck, would sleep in the Walmart parking lot. So here's Keith's baby.
That's one of my cures for depression right here.
Yeah.
That's my puppy.
And not to mention too, sorry Keith, go. Give me 30 seconds. That was also time. My husband had just, you guys, I want to say 4 months prior, got hurt serious. He fell from the top of a 20-foot ladder and shattered tons of shit in his body. So now here he's healing. So, I had to make sure he had it was fucked up. You guys, it was fucked up. But shiny little turds on, we had a blast. But
Gabe said silver lining, and there's a problem with that term, especially going through it, is you can only see the silver lining of a cloud when you're outside of the cloud.
Sure.
Yeah, but this time, Keith, I knew. I'm telling you, I knew it in my gut. And that's what was driving me.
But we're not talking about you at this moment.
I'm just saying. I'm talking about me. I'm saying in that moment for myself is what,
What I was going to say was going to relate to you the fact that if you are able to pull out that lining, you are able to somehow realize the positive, it helps. Most people can't see that until the latter.
Especially when they're in it. I completely understand.
I know.
Now, Anthony, you're sitting there all just enjoying the topic and not saying a whole lot on here.
Sorry, I'm
a man of your word.
Damn, Wayne says, Anthony, you got to really shut up at this point.
I'm out.
So, have you ever been brought? What's your closest to the brink you think you've ever been brought to?
The brink of
the ultimate depression tragedy.
I'd have to say recently.
Recently, how was that?
No.
Oh, did he freeze?
You're still, but I think we hear you.
Oh.
Yeah, you're good now. Go ahead.
I was going to say everyone stop moving, so I assumed something like that.
To us, it was just you.
Freeze frame.
Well, something's wrong with my shit. But no,
Hey, Bill! Someone said pull out. Hey, Bill.
I had a feeling. It was Bill who did.
Yeah. So, what was the most recent situation for you, Anthony?
well, the situation with my father, it has its ups and downs for sure, but lately it's been more down. And that just, it gets to the point where I sometimes fear that I'm looking into a mirror almost because his issues stem from depression that he doesn't want to address.
Right.
So, like, sometimes seeing him in his really bad moments make me just kind of look at him and go, well, shit, that's where I'm going to be. That's
Right.
where I'm destined to end up, kind of thing.
Seeing your future is really hard, or believing that it is your future, even though it's not. It's when you look at somebody, especially a family member, more than anything who's older than you, it seems to be your future is going to follow in their footsteps, but it doesn't have to. And again, seeing that is hard because when you're talking, I don't know with your dad, but when you're talking with a lot of people and they're going through the depression situation right now, you'll hear stories of how they didn't used to be like that. So no matter how you feel at that time, you're like, it's still going to be the outcome.
Right.
But ultimately, it's got to be your decision. Has anybody else in the panel been brought to that brink, to that end point that you obviously got out of, thankfully, but have you been brought to that final end point?
You mean that jumping off peak that actually...
Well, I know you have, Nikki, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
So at the end of college, I was kind of just gliding through. I was like, I'm just gonna get my degree, do what I gotta do. You know, I'm just gonna take the classes I need to take. But instead of asking for help, I let it get worse and worse and worse and worse. Not only like school wise, like with classes and stuff like that, but just emotionally. To this day, I still have issues with my family, but I just had like a lot of things coming out at me at once. And I had suicidal ideation the last week of my college career. Thankfully, I'm still here. Like nothing happened. I didn't have a plan. I didn't do anything. But about the people who watch this broadcast and about 3 people in my life know that. And I think the problem was I just kept it inside and I kept pushing it down and pushing it down and pushing it down and pushing it down. And I think when you do that, it's going to explode at some point. And if you don't talk it out and if you don't get the help that you need, it gets to a point where you just feel overwhelmed and you don't know what you're supposed to do. So for a while after that, I didn't get the help I need, but I slowly got better and found ways to cope with it and ways to get out of that dark place. But it's really sad that so many people get to that place. But it happens for a lot of people.
It's funny you said that only the 3 people and the people that watch that broadcast know this, or watch this broadcast know this now about you. And the 4 main people that started this show was me, Nikki, Linny, and Brandon. And with all of us, if anybody talked to you, they would never guess the kind of demons you were holding down inside.
Right.
We come off as the happiest of people, and I said it before on several occasions. Those are the ones to check on.
Right.
The ones who seem like everything is perfect and everything's all together. Gabe, have you been brought to that point before?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, 12 years ago, around 12 years ago, I was definitely at sort of my low point. Ironically, I got a short story for you. The first psychiatrist that I ever went to go see, I found him in the book or whatever, and when I walked in there for that appointment, I could see that I was the youngest of his patients by about 40 years. So I don't know if he just handled mostly geriatrics or whatever. So I did 2 sessions with him, and I wasn't rude to him, But I sort of challenged his, just his advice on a certain thing. At that point, a psychiatrist told me that I was this type of personality, that I will never, ever be better. And he broke up with me
Wow.
Wow.
and said, see ya. So, thankfully, I found somebody else
I was
who
going to
was
say.
much more attentive. But it's funny because it's those moments that I think people with depression struggle with. It's that rejection. And something like that can be so powerful.
Right.
And I still, to this day, certain times it's like, especially when I'm feeling really low, it's like, am I broken? Can I be fixed?
Yeah.
And I was on medication for a long time, or for about 3 or 4 years after that, and then I sort of got off of it, and I've been able to manage it sort of by myself.
If I can ask Gail Marie really quick, how old are you, Gail Marie?
I am 31.
31. Okay. So I'm going to mainly be talking, and it may still affect you, so you can feel free to answer if
fine.
it does. For the top 3 panels right now, do you ever think age runs a factor into it as far as, because one thing you said is, am I broken, can I be fixed? Do you ever think that age runs a factor, like it's too late to do anything now, this life can't get better at this point?
Sure.
Nikki?
I'm trying to think, because it's a tough one, because I could say I've definitely had moments in older age where, the struggle is so, like, to come out of it is so hard to do that, you're questioning. But I don't think it's ever too late. I think if we opened our eyes, we'd see it more often than not around us.
I know it's never too late. I know that seeing it now, it's never too late. But I'm saying, in those moments of depression, do you think that? Do you feel that during those moments?
Sure.
Yeah. Because I know, like, right now, I can look and say, I can live, if I live to the ripe old age I should, which we'll see what happens. I should be able to, I could live my entire life over again from scratch, from birth. So obviously it's not too late to do something. Because I could act like I knew nothing, move anywhere, start fresh, and I wouldn't even have to go through all that schooling I did for the first 18 years. So there's a lot you can still change in your life. It's never limited like that, but it seems that way, looking on the outside.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when I'm during my depression, when I'm going through it, the age plays a factor, like, death's around the corner, even though it's probably decades away. It feels that way. So what could I do to change or fix things? I'm going to get to a couple comments really quick before I hit onto what I was just talking about. I never thought about hurting myself, Bill says, but I hurt many people physically and mentally. Brings you back into it. And I was saving that comment for a minute because that's what I did. I took my anger out on other people a lot of times. And for me, it worked. However, I felt miserable afterwards for it.
Right.
I did think, I've always thought, well, I shouldn't say always, many times I thought about hurting myself. I thought about going to that extreme, but in a sense, half of me is because I'm a pussy. I'm not going to do it. I'm like, and my actual thing that I...
Self-preservation there, though,
Yeah.
It's not just, you're a pussy.
But
it's some value of life that you're appreciating.
Yeah.
Right, but the honest truth about it is, and I learned this the last couple years, and I think I've said it before on the show, I don't remember, is I started really believing the phrase that the world is not ready to lose me.
Right.
Yeah.
I took myself, I start seeing of how you affect the people around you, and you end up finding your purpose. And sometimes you have to 86 some of those people around you. Sometimes you have to be like, I'm not including you because you are the cause of the depression. And my friends, as much as my friends are great to pull me out, the friends I had before were really easy ones to pull me in. When I found out who was taking advantage, who was hurting, who really didn't care, and who really wasn't there, those are things that send people spiraling too, because you feel alone, you feel isolated. Bill says not condoning drinking. Bill, condone drinking. But me drinking helps me not think about the bad stuff for the most part. And I say condone drinking because here we are. This is how we do the show.
Sure.
How you doing, Anthony? Cheers.
This is juice.
I got agua, but
But I mean, you can't. It's a coping mechanism for people. I don't condone getting shit faced and letting alcohol solve your problems.
yeah.
But it can make life easier to get by. We're not a support group that tells you got to give up the drink, you got to stop that.
Yeah.
However, if you do overdrink, your depression will come stronger because alcohol is a depressant, and it is in the term.
It's cirrhosis.
There's a happy with
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to think I have a little bit of experience dealing with depression and alcoholism.
All right. Well, tell us your professional opinion.
There's a happy mix, right? You like, for me, sometimes I get to that point, I'll go out and I'm not doing that great, and I'll start drinking, and I'll just keep drinking because I want to just feel nothing, right? And that's where drinking alcohol is not that great. But there's other times, like tonight. Today wasn't a great day. I'm having a couple glasses of whiskey. It's just dulling the pain, right? Just a little bit to dull it. But when it's used to completely make you numb of all feeling and emotion, I've seen it to where that creates a week, 2 week, month-long spiral of bad shit.
Going back, it's going
I don't know
back
where that's
to
coming from.
sorry, and it's going back to how you escape. That situation until you get to the next hour or to the next day. And that's why alcohol in certain regards, definitely. But if you're looking to escape your feelings over prolonged periods of time, it's not going to work.
I think it depends on how you act when you're drinking. I think if you're ever one who is drinking because you're depressed and not dealing with it, you have to look at what's going on when you're drinking. If you're at the bar and you're sitting there at the bar the entire night, drinking your beer, watching shit around you, not saying much and stuff, you're drinking for the wrong fucking reasons. If you're trying to have a good time with those around you, if you're trying to actually turn your mood into something more positive, that's a totally different story. And I think that should be encouraged a little bit for people. Maybe not slosh beyond belief, but it should be encouraged a little bit too, that drinking is not as bad as it seems. Letting it get out of control can be. Bill asked, can you overdrink?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can. But
After one, this girl's done. So
The real scientific answer is yes. Yes, you can.
oh, scientifically, yes, you can.
You can pickle your liver.
I had a party like 2 years ago that proved that yes, even I can overdrink. So, or I disappeared for a couple hours.
Sleepy Keith.
Yeah, that's right. It would have been easier if everybody didn't keep coming up to my room going, "You okay? You okay? You okay? Leave me the fuck alone."
That was one of them.
Go up to see you and you disappear.
It's a long story. Anyway, moving on.
Mostly because we were trying to get your Bluetooth working.
I know, that's why everyone's up there. We
Got
can't get that.
booby trap set in his audio. Do you have all your entertainment booby trapped?
No, the band left, and I was passed out, so there was no music. Ashley asked, how does everyone feel their resiliency is? Do you feel you're resilient in most situations and everything you've been through? You've made it this far, so everyone is definitely resilient to some degree. How do you rate yourself? 10 being the most resilient, and 1 being not resilient at all, I would rate myself a 10. I really would. What about everybody else on the panel?
I think I'm a 10. I think I'm a 20.
Good for you.
Oh, you just had to fucking outdo me, didn't
you
you?
had to
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Nikki. All right, so there we are. Now I got to move everybody back around. There we go. All right. No.
I was just about to Superwoman shirt it out
There you
too.
Oh, that'll keep Bill around.
I would say for me, I'm about a 4 or 5, but I
Okay.
think that's mostly because I get out of the situations. But in my honest opinion, I don't get to a place where I can move past them. So I'm okay, but I'm not at a place where my mood is better or I can cope with things better. So I get out of the bad situation, but I don't get to a place where I want to be, if that makes sense.
I mean, as far as thinking I'll actually be able to move past it, I mean, I would have to change my score a little bit. But I don't think that, because I do take strong positive hold in the fact that this is not the rest of my life. This is right now. It will change. It may get worse, but it may get better. And there's only one way to find out. What about you, Gabe? How would you rate yourself?
Like a 7, probably. You know, it's different from day to day. I know I am not the perfect husband all the time. I am not the perfect father all the time. It is in these moments, sort of, when I feel I have purpose or some sort of goal that I can go towards, either creatively or something like this, where I can connect or put myself out there in a situation where that sort of is helpful to me. But in those moments where I'm left to my own vices for too long is where I am hurting the worst.
I understand that. Well, 7, that's something. So far, we're above 5s. Is Anthony? Well, kind of. We're going to count you as a 5 there. You said 4 or 5, I think. So we're going to count you as a 5. Just, I want to stay above 5. It's good. Let's see if Anthony fucks it up for us. Anthony.
Well, now I want to.
I know you do. I knew you would.
Now he's pressured.
I'd have to say, like, I don't know, like an 8 for the most part, because I'm sure most people that know me would have no clue.
Right.
That
I don't think that qualifies as the resiliency. I don't think hiding it qualifies.
Okay, well, if I'm hiding it, then it's 20. But resiliency, I'd probably have to say like a 6.
6,
We're getting-
okay.
yeah. Just because I can get myself out of it, but it's kind of like the demon on your shoulder that won't go away.
Right.
So it's like I can shut him up and hit the mute button, but I know he's always going to be there.
Right.
And at that point, it's kind of a different language, isn't it? It's almost like a customer service voice
Right.
on how you are
Yeah.
explaining, you know, or how you interact with people.
That's a really good way to explain it.
It's like this autopilot where it's just, of course, I'm fine. How are you? Things are great. It's blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Would you like to
Yeah.
purchase an extended warranty
Smooth,
for your
Anthony.
2007
Yeah.
Well, that's good
Dodge?
for Lewis.
I know that was to Lewis on that. So our highest score, I'm going to present this to Nikki. Congratulations for being a 20.
Thank the Academy. I'm just at, and I'm grateful to be able to sit here today and say I'm at a better place. But
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
you know,
take pride in it. Take pride.
yeah.
And
But
that's-
that's
Don't
why
let
I
people
said,
like
Keith,
Keith
let me be.
bring you down.
No.
Well,
love
yeah.
Keith.
Well, no, because I had a 10 and she put a 20 out there and it wasn't even an option.
Sure.
That wasn't fair.
I'm
What
so
is that
proud.
Okay, I want to hit a couple things. Lewis sees right through you, Anthony. We hit that already, and Anthony responded appropriately. Bill, I got to throw this up because I wouldn't have even thought to mention this, but it's true for me too, is when you fight with someone, you have the thought that they might take you out, and it's a different type of self-hurting. And sometimes the reason I attacked other people was for that reason.
Right.
Like, I won't do it myself, do it for me.
Right.
Right.
And that hit really hard with me. I just didn't want to admit it. And Bill says also, if you take medication for depression, you don't feel like yourself. Who here takes medication for depression? Has anybody ever?
I have.
You have.
Yeah.
So how did it make you feel, Gabe?
Okay. So, all right, I'll try to make this short. So, getting started on it, I took this stuff called Effexor. And then I took another medication, which was like sort of just a chaser or something to sort of even each other out, which is a bad mistake when you have to take 2 medications to even each other out. So the only 2 panic attacks that I've ever had publicly are because I was on medication. And one was very publicly in a conference meeting in front of my supervisor and 13 other of my coworkers, to the point where I had to be taken to the hospital because it was just, I was trying to calm down, and then there was just too many people coming around you. And when you're in a panic attack in that moment, and it was the first time I had one so publicly, I just needed to get away and sort of chill out. And then my regional supervisor came out the door, and this is my boss's boss, and it's like that just escalated it like
Oh
crazy.
boy.
Before you continue
I'm
the story,
Sure.
Bill said I started taking Prozac when it first came out. Mistake. I just want to ask Bill to type his answer. Why was it a mistake? What happened in your situation? Go ahead, Gabe.
So I go to the ER, and my supervisor had driven me there, and he was in there, and still criticizing me about the things we got into an argument about in the meeting. So I have an IV hooked up to me at this point, and whatever's in me is getting me high, and my supervisor's. And whatever my supervisor is saying is like, well, you know, you just got to let it go sometimes. I'm in the fucking ER on an IV right now, and I'm high. And then somebody came in. It's like, is this your supervisor? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you want him in here? I'm like, no. And then they kicked him out.
Very good for you.
So that's, we got past that. And he's actually a really good guy. But if I missed that medication, the Effexor, for a day, it would put me in such vertigo that I would end up in the ER by itself, just for missing a dose of it. It took me 4 months to get off of it, because that's how much it's affecting your brain chemistry. And don't get me wrong, I'm actually thinking about getting back into something low dose, but you have to be extremely careful with things like that, because
For the first time, I thought about it myself, just because I've never been at the level I have in the last year. Maybe there is something.
Do your research.
But I hate things that fuck with my perspective.
Right.
And the way I see the world, and everything I've seen and not tried, but seen other people try, because I'm very particular about it. I hate it. But there's other medications that do help. Anthony, do you want to go with any of those?
Well, are you talking about the green one? 'Cause that's the only-
Yeah.
That's a beautiful one.
You mentioned it before, that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, smoking weed's great. I probably shouldn't say that so freely, and it's not great because it gives you that like Harold and Kumar. Like for me, I don't like getting that way. But the stuff I smoke kind of enhances my senses, and I'm a big music person. Mm-hmm. So like one of my favorite things to do is just take a couple hits and play piano, play guitar, just music, because it just sounds. I don't know. It sounds better.
And sure. I would consider marijuana a medication in certain situations. Yeah. I know a lot of people use a medication as an excuse for marijuana, and they really do. But there's some people legitimately it helps with their situations. Ashley says something that points to that effect. Medication is all about if the good outweighs the bad, and in the case of smoking weed, for a lot of people, it does. Me, I can't do it. If the side effects are worse than the help it's giving, then it's not the right dosage or regimen for you. There are so many options. Just got to find what's right for you. Going back to what Gabe said, which is very true. Yeah. Sometimes the dosage needs to be changed because we're all different individuals.
Right.
I mean, something as simple as a blood pressure medication I took, and I was fucked up beyond belief that whole night. I felt like I was going to die. Mm-hmm. Just because they gave probably the wrong dosage. I won't even touch the stuff again because of it. And I switched to something else. And I don't even have high blood pressure. It was a precautionary drug, so I didn't have to go through that. It pissed me the fuck off. But back to Bill, when he took his Prozac, it was supposed to make him less depressed. It made me different. Tall, but not a real big guy, but working the door at the bar, wrong people paid for it. So it brought out a little more aggression probably in you in that case, which is where, because it does different things to you. I've taken medication where I'm like, this is not me.
Yeah.
I took a pill for, and it wasn't like the Chantix when I was originally trying to quit smoking. The doctor had said, well, you want to try taking pills? I said, I've never thought about it, but you know what? I don't want the Chantix because I do have depression, and I've heard that doesn't mix well. But if you got something, he gave it to me. And it made me more depressed than ever. I woke up, I was just crying in tears the whole time. I legitimately wanted to kill myself. And I knew better. I held myself down, but I actually full-fledged had that just from a simple medication.
Right.
Because it changes your chemistry. So if some medication doesn't work, don't think there isn't something else that will. If you feel out of it or you feel weird, no matter who you are, Stop taking that shit and call and try to get something else. There is more than one option out there.
Yeah.
And maybe you will take the route of having a drink at night, or you will smoke a little weed every once in a while, or something like that. Feel free.
Take it slow.
There are holistic means too. You don't always have to go trust a pharmacy to make up the right, dosage.
Yeah.
Right. Because all our bodies are differently. It's no different than trying to lose weight or trying to gain weight or doing something like that. You need different regimens for different people because they're not the same. Bill now smokes Royal Gorilla, and he's more mellow and horny. Is that possible? And hungry, that is possible.
Yes.
It all makes sense now. It's the world.
It all makes
There you
sense
go.
now.
One of the things when you get in these modes of depression, and you're going to try, often trying a hobby or trying something new or introducing something new to your life is a great way to get out of depression. Another thing is Gabe just took a drink, and this is cliche, and this is kind of a medical thing, but water.
Yeah.
Water is key
Yeah.
for almost everything you do. When you are hydrated, your body feels better no matter what. And there is
Amen.
something to be said for foods and alcohol too when it comes to that. Alcohol will bring you down. So if that's one of the things, change your intake, add a lot of water to it. If you eat junk foods high in like carbs, but you don't move around a lot, don't care how big you are. Try to eliminate certain things because certain chemicals happen with just the foods we eat and what we drink. Pop can do it too. You get that high, you get that crash. So alter a few things or introduce something new or change something. Most people I know hate water. Drink it. It is such a powerful thing. Gail Marie, you're one of them. What is your problem with H2O?
I need flavor. Like, I'm the girl that I just can't. And I know there's so many, they try to sell it to you to like make money and stuff, but there's so many like flavored waters or water bottles where you can put fruit in it or something like that. But I've been trying to get off soda because that was my kryptonite for a while. But like, I'm a small girl, but like I eat junk food all the time. I eat like the same 3 or 4 things because not only I'm a really picky person. And so, like you said, I think if you work on hydrate, even if it's like flavor packets to put in the water, that would be better than all the stuff I've been eating. But I think that's definitely a good point to bring up.
Yeah. I've
Even when
always
you-
drank
sorry.
a lot of water. Go ahead.
I was going to say, even when you mix something in, if your starting base that wholeheartedly you started it with water, it counts.
Okay.
It still counts in your water intake.
It's like, who here has ever gone on a diet for any reason? Like, whether
Well,
it's
I
just-
mean, I don't like to call it a diet.
I know, but I'm just,
Yeah,
I don't call them a lifestyle change, but I mean,
Yeah.
who has tried a diet, even if it worked or not?
me.
Dan,
I'm on
has
one as we
anybody
speak.
noticed that even if you don't stick with it, because maybe it's too hard or anything like that, but when you start eating, your energy levels do go up.
Yeah.
When you start eliminating certain foods, your depression actually will subside a little bit and stuff like that because you are changing the chemistry of your body.
Right.
So there are little lifestyle changes you can make to try to improve it. It may work, it may not work. Pizza is a happy food. If you watch Fluffy, Mr. Iglesias, I agree with that. I hate pizza personally, but
is.
everybody I know loves pizza.
It's like a comfort food, like that
Yes.
oozy-goozy, cheesy, I can't eat it right now. It's just so good, but...
And also, don't give up. If you happen to have something like that, when I'm saying the eating habits or the water or anything like that, or there's other little, take a walk in the morning. That does amazing things. When you get up, pull yourself to that sidewalk and walk around the block or do something
Exercise
like that.
it releases
Yeah.
endorphins, and it makes you, like, just naturally, it's a natural happy pill.
And with me,
It hurts.
it does.
No pain, no
Lifting
gain, my
weights,
friend.
those things are heavy.
Yeah. But it does. Anything that does that, endorphins are important. And just for Bill, having sex is important too. So have it more often.
Sex
that releases a
exercise is a real
shitload
thing.
of yeah, it does. That releases a ton of endorphins.
Yeah.
And takes care of stuff like that. So those lifestyle changes are important. And, try these little things. There's things that you can do to help you. But if you have your crutch, if pizza per se, even though it's not a great food to eat, but if pizza is your crutch, then keep that in your life. Have something like that, but try to cut something else out. Find ways to do things and to build energy. Little things to build energy. I don't do it now because it's cold, but I started walking to the gas station. It's about a mile away. So instead of driving to the gas station for what I want, I just walk up there. And I would want it in the morning and make sure I was out, so I had a reason to go up there, and I felt good every day. One of the reasons my depression has hit me most this year more than feeling I have no friends, more than no money, more than no job, more than all the other things that are out there, is that I'm not moving. I'm not doing anything. I'm stuck in bed. I'm stuck in a chair. I can only clean my house so much, and then I give up. I'll get it clean, keep it clean for a while, then you just kind of lose it. And that's huge because
Feels like
that
the
is a
entire
spiral.
world is,
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
That's what's the most insane thing. It's like we are all on pause,
Right.
And not being able to see friends and stuff like that, we can right now.
Right.
Yeah.
This is
Some
why
of the
this helps me.
Yeah,
'Cause being able to do this with you guys,
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, this is all I get. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
right.
So just
Plus,
being
too,
able to
I
talk
just-
to you.
Yeah, it's important. It's important to be able to release.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I was actually getting to this point, what you just said about the show, is that was my something new. That was something new to try, something to spend my energy to. Hopefully it's going to work. And believe it or not, this show ended up depressing me a little bit. And that was out of fear of success.
Right.
Oh.
Like, nobody's got an interest. Nobody is, it's not what I hoped it was going to be. It's, it didn't blow up. And slowly, that negative thing, because we stuck with it, is becoming positive. I often wanted the chat to drive the show. When we first started, Nikki, I said, hopefully people are going to chat, and that's where all our conversations come from. And it didn't happen for a while. We had and now it started to pick up, and the chat tonight drove a good half of this show.
Right.
Just by what people are saying. So you start to feel really good, and you realize that the wait is worth it.
Yeah.
And pulling yourself out is worth it.
Yes.
So, going around another time, before, let's get Bill here real quick. New Year's resolutions unfortunately end up with people in depression because they can't reach their goals.
Yeah.
We brought that up on our New Year's show because people, they do it, they make it that day, they don't achieve it, they quit, they feel they're not going to make it. And one thing I said on that show, and it sticks right now, is it's a New Year's resolution. It's not a New Day resolution.
Right.
So if it takes the entire year to achieve this, do it. If you haven't achieved it after a year, then it's part of the next one.
Right.
If you fall off, go back. I'm still trying to quit. You may see me with a cigarette in December. You may not see me one in March. I don't know what's going to happen on that. But just keep trying.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to.
And don't be so hard on yourself if you fail.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Set smaller goals, easier to be attained, and then
Right.
reset them.
Right.
Reevaluate every 30 days. I do see that thing back there.
Yeah.
I try to do vision boards like every 30 to 60 days because my visions change, rapidly. It's helpful.
That'd be
Helps
cool.
you to.
Maybe we'll work out a trivia show, Bill.
That would be fun. Yeah.
I'm in.
You know what you should do? You should make trivia of things that have been said on the show.
Yes. That would be so
And who said it?
By the time the show ends, I'm too drunk to remember.
I'll go back with you. I'll come over with you. We'll spend a day looking back at it, and we'll pull things out. That just means we have to be like hosts. We can't know the questions and the answers.
We can always parody Hollywood Squares.
There you go. There you go. There you
We
go.
can pull that off. Bill says, Nikki, you still haven't taken the hoodie off, just so you know.
We
when you
have
have two-
children watching, Bill.
We've got Jan here. It said 16 and over. I think we're okay. We have two.
Don't encourage him. Keith, don't encourage him. My husband could be watching.
Oh, that's a good point. Bad, Bill. Bad. Jan said when you have two chronic diseases, depression. Anybody suffer from a disease or an illness that has led to their depression for a period?
Yep.
Cancer for me. What was yours, Nikki?
When after that motorcycle accident, when I spent 9 months paralyzed, like my right leg, I walked with a cane. My right leg would just drag. I couldn't sleep in bed. I slept on my hands and knees, my couch, doped up on Vicodin. Like, that was my meals for the day. Oh, it's dinner time. Give me 4.
Right.
Bad.
That's where medication could be just as hazardous as it can be helpful.
Right.
Some points. The two chronic diseases, Jan. Gail Marie, what would you say to Jan right there? What would you give it for advice to try to pull out of that?
I mean, I think, not trying to focus, this sounds really cliche, but focus on the things you can control. I think with disease, usually there's so much that is out of our control, even with doctors, even with medications. especially with something chronic that goes on all the time. Focusing on like a new hobby, like you talked about, Keith, or something that brings you joy. Because I don't have a chronic disease, but I have several mental health disorders. And so I know how it feels to feel like overwhelmed and lots of things going on. And so, like I said, I would just say try to focus on things that that you can control. That would be the best answer that I could give.
Sure.
Yeah, I would agree with what Gail Marie said there. Definitely dealing with things you can control. Welcome back, Anthony.
Yeah, you know what? I'm such an airhead. I didn't read the question about chronic disease, even though.
Oh, you were just saying. Well, my question to you was not about chronic disease.
Okay.
Have they been through that?
Okay.
Something that definitely impacted it as far as being sick or ill in a way.
Okay.
That was mine to you, and mine was cancer, like I said, and I felt that was over because I have cancer, and cancer is a big C. You know, you don't feel you're going to come back from it no matter what, and here I am.
Sure.
What kind of
Can't
cancer
sing
did
like
you
I
have?
used to. It was thyroid cancer. I had 2 surgeries for it.
Sing beautifully.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
but not
do.
like I used to. I can't do my highs anymore. I can't even bring my voice high.
Yeah, but cigarettes will do that.
Yeah.
No, that helped. I
Really?
lost actually some of my low register
Huh.
when I had the cancer too.
Just sing Pearl Jam all the time. You'll be fine.
I know. I wish you would take that song. What's that fucking song? It's a big song. I can't think of the name of it. Keith, you did it.
Sound of Silence.
Yes.
I love that song.
Oh my god, when Keith sings that song, like I get goosies from head to toe. Like everything tingles. Crazy.
I know where you were going with that. I like it. I was like, oh, my husband might be watching.
The cooter
Well, I'm on it. Let me
I
just
just
mention
had-
that Keith makes my coochie tingle.
Oh gosh.
Well, I'm feeling good. My
Happy.
depression's
There
disappearing.
you go.
I was like, unfortunately, Bill's depression is gaining right now because his dog just took his beer and ran away. Go get that fucker. Ashley, her coochie tingles when I sing.
If you have not heard Keith sing that song, you have to do yourself a favor and do
I know
your
what I'm doing
coochie a
tonight.
favor. Do yourself a favor. Do your coochie a favor, and hear him sing it.
Keith, it looks like we're gonna have to get the green screen out again.
I was just thinking I would do it for the next week's show, but I don't know if I'll have time because I'm going to get back into town on Wednesday.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, 'cause I was thinking about actually doing it.
There you go, Bill. Hats off
I was
to
going to
you,
say
my
the same
friend.
thing
Part
about that
two.
song, Keith, but I didn't.
I
Whoa.
love that song.
Holy shit!
What?
I'm waiting to see something. We're going to find out in a
What?
moment.
Uh-oh.
Oh. Did I get flagged?
Somebody
No,
got it
you
on
didn't get
video?
flagged. You didn't get flagged.
Somebody has it on video, I bet.
No. We might have Bill joining the stream.
Oh God.
I don't know how he could join this stream. Hold on, he doesn't have the link. Interesting.
He's probably clicking on the other link like, on the
don't know what
page.
this is the sex show too. All right.
Oh god.
Now I want everybody watching this, everybody that's dealt with depression, everybody that has a big problem. Oh, we got a different Bill here. I think this is Jan's friend's Bill. I'm gonna bring him on. Bill, how you doing?
Hi, Bill.
Hi, Bill.
Hello.
How are you?
Can
Bill,
you see me?
I can see you. I can see you. I especially like that you're wearing a Detroit shirt, Bill.
Yeah.
So Bill, I haven't met you before. Are you Jan's friend? Is that the Bill you are?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, it's nice to actually meet you. Jan's talked about you before, Bill. So I'm going to ask you. Welcome to the show. How have things been going with you lately?
It's topsy-turvy with me right now. You know, I've been having to deal with some issues. I have a number of issues. I'm an alcoholic, for one thing. And I was at a place called Emmanuel House. My last visit was at a place. And I've been in rehab 2 times before. And, you know, I'm trying to get myself back on my feet. It's been since July 9th since I've had a drink.
Well, that's good. Congratulations on that one.
I've been going to AA and stuff like that and talking to, you know,
So, Bill, how do you feel the struggle is?
what's that?
How do you feel the struggle is? Do you feel it's a struggle that is equally hard every day, or does it get easier as you go along?
For me, It's like a roller coaster.
Mm.
One of the reasons I think is because I was diagnosed by one person as one psychiatrist as being bipolar.
Hmm.
Okay, so I have my ups and I have my downs.
Mm.
Okay, so you said you quit. You had your last drink in July 9th, you said. Is that right?
Yes.
What was the trick? What was the incentive? Because if you're an alcoholic, I know you have dealt with it for a regular basis, and I'm sure, like most of them, it feels like you can't quit. Almost that you need it. And what was the trick? What was the key? What got you to say this is enough?
Basically, my life was in shambles. My marriage, I kissed that goodbye. My relationship with my daughter, I almost kissed that goodbye. Um, and my life was a wreck.
So
And I'm
definitely
still
family.
trying to pick up the pieces.
Have you been able to mend any of that yet since July? Sort of working on yourself and working on those relationships?
Well, I've been working on knowing myself, being
There's
honest.
two, Bill.
You know, when I at the menu house, I got kind of put in a corner because unlike other rehab facilities, this one is more on a spiritual level.
Mm.
Uh, and other rehab facilities that I was into, it was here, take this pill and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And that didn't work for me, evidently.
Yeah.
I'm like under the impression rehabs often don't care anymore. Not like they
About
used to,
the
especially.
dollar.
It's sort of
all
what-
It's about the dollar.
benefits.
Let's mask the problem and send you on your way. Do you
Yeah.
feel that's what they tried to do with you?
Sometimes, yeah, it's a business. It's like a nursing home.
Right.
You know, nursing homes, they're supposed to care, but a lot of them, they don't. It's a business.
Yeah.
The whole medical profession, if you look at it, is a business.
Which is so sad and so scary at the same time. At the state
Yeah.
when you're most vulnerable, and you want to trust somebody to do what's in your best interest, like they're over here like, nope, sorry, this one's gonna pay extra.
Right. And
So
that's
Is this your longest string of sobriety so far?
No, my last time, I was a whole year,
Okay.
and I thought I had it licked.
Well, one
And
day at a
then
time, Bill.
The virus set in, so I couldn't go to my meetings. All right. Then I was like, because I was living with my daughter, I felt like a hamster in a cage, couldn't see my friends.
Sure.
I got a little stir crazy,
Yeah.
and I guess I just went out and bought me a pint, and once you start with an alcoholic, once you start, you don't stop.
Right.
I got to give you some major props though, because you said
Wow.
because the virus started that you ended up going back to it again, and you also said you quit July 9th and haven't drank. So in a matter of months, you got back on that, and I think that's
Yeah.
beyond impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
Most people who fall off think they can't do it anymore, and you still kept trying, and that's what people forget to do. If they got to keep going. Now, since you've tried and gotten in the last 6 months, has the relationship improved with your family? You were saying with your daughter.
Well, it'll never improve with my wife, other than being a friend. That's about as far as it's ever going to go, and that's partly my fault. I won't take the whole blame, and I'm not going to cast blame. Because I'm not going to cry over spilt milk. All right, but with my daughter, it's touch and go because she has issues too. And I've been having to deal with both. But I keep telling myself, no matter how rough it gets, don't go to that party store.
The bill says so many medical facilities just go through the motions, as we were talking about before, and that's right, because they don't care. A lot of these rehab places and these facilities were built on volunteers that wanted to help people, and they became a business. They became something strong. What you said, Bill, now I think is great advice to people too. When you said With your wife, you just kind of accept that you can't change that. Move on and work on the things you can. There's some people that will not forgive. There's some people that will not forget. Some people change. Hopefully that she is still a friend to you, and that's good. Then they're supporting you through it. When you first fell off, though, during COVID, before you got back on, did people support you and say you can still do this, or did they turn your back on you?
Actually, I turned my back on people.
Okay.
My wife and daughter tried to help me. You know, I was okay. I was your typical alcoholic. I mean, I was hiding my bottles. My daughter found them, and she could tell by my breath, by my stagger, by my slurs, whatever. I wasn't kidding nobody but myself. And you know, they tried to help me, but I got the drunker I got, the more how do you say? I became another person. I wasn't nice, happy Bill.
Now, you said your daughter and your family knew that they could smell it on your breath, they could find the bottles and stuff. When you were going through that, did you realize that they knew, or did you think you were slick enough to hide it?
No, they come right out and told me, but I think it was obvious too because of my actions. You know, I did some things, and when I think back, you know, I was drunk at the time, but I remember some of the stupid stuff I did, and I was like, "Yeah, that was a stupid move." You know, I mean,
We're all guilty of stupid moves at some point, trust me. Life is far more exciting because of that, actually. Did you have anything you used to get through it that you're even using right now to take your mind away?
I'm using my faith. I'm using people. I go to meetings. I listen, and I talk. And you know, Jan's a friend that I didn't even know her really. We went to the same high school. We never really ran into each other, you know. And she just saw me on Facebook. You know, so was friends with some of her friends, and she did a friend request, and I was like, you know, what the hell, and and it just took off from there.
So you would definitely qualify for being depressed at that point, right?
Oh
And that
yeah,
was one of the things
I'm
that led
still
to that.
subject to depression.
That's actually, well, the main thing we've been talking about tonight too, and we were talking briefly about how alcohol can be positive impact or negative impact, whether you control it or not, and getting to the depths you were. Now, do you believe, to cope with it, that you are one who has to stay away completely from it, or do you believe that it's something you'll be able to eventually have a drink to calm yourself and move on
No,
with your life?
I'll never be able to have a drink.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be
All
the
right.
death of it. You know.
I'll never be
Realizing
able to
that
have
is
it.
crucial. Because you don't know how to stop and say no. It's like me and cheesecake. Trust me. Can't just.
Plus, it makes if I'm depressed, it just takes me further down that dark tunnel.
Right.
You know, I'm taking antidepressants now. You know, but I mean, if I take alcohol and on top of my antidepressants, even antidepressants can it kind of induce a form of depression. You know, depending on what you're on. But
Yeah, it's always.
you know, it could work against you or work for you. You know, but I just may you know come to the truth of it is I cannot go near alcohol. I'm gonna have to get used to other people drinking alcohol and be in their presence. All right.
Yeah. You're gonna. Well, that's the thing. We had said finding something else to do, but you have to realize where your limit is, and that you can find somewhere else to go with it and take it. Bill had said something on here that I only halfway agree with, because Bill says you can get people to help you through social media messaging, but if they aren't there for you physically, it isn't that great. And I'm going to partly disagree with you, Bill McLean, because this show, we're not physically there. And I think we have helped people a lot, and they've become, you know, everybody on here has become great friends. Some already were. And I think just having somebody to talk to, and in some cases not being physically there, is one of the strongest things where you can open up and share the most.
But yeah, and you need connection. You know, any type of connection.
So if we had anybody else dealing with the issues that you're dealing with right now, Bill, and you're getting through it, and they were an alcoholic and they suffer from depression, would you have any words of advice to give them on getting through it?
Yes, one is be honest with yourself. If you can't be honest with yourself, you can't be honest with other people. All right? I was wearing a mask, and it got detected when I went to a menu house. But you gotta be, that's one thing. You have to admit that you have a problem with alcohol. All right, you have to admit that you have a problem with alcohol. You have to admit that you can't do it by yourself. So
Right, yeah. That's definitely right. One thing they've said in every rehabilitation program, anything out there, the first thing you have to do is admit that there's a problem. That's the one thing I agree with 100%.
Yeah.
Because if you don't believe there's a problem, you don't believe there's a need to fix it, so you feel you're going through the motions for no reason.
Yeah.
And you'll never stick with it.
Yeah.
At all. I mean, I'm really excited to have you, Bill, because believe it or not, Bill, you're our first surprise pop-up guest, and I absolutely love it. Okay?
it was a
And
surprise to me when I got the message.
That was,
Someone told you you're going to be on?
well, I think Jan,
No,
because
somebody,
Jan was going to be a guest, and I think
Oh,
Jan
okay.
sent him the link.
Okay, good.
Yeah. That's
Which is
basically it.
just
what
wanna
she
make sure you weren't
did, and
pressured.
you popping on was what we wanted in the purpose of this show. Was that people can come on and talk for a minute. So I cannot thank you enough. And like I said, things happened during the show since we've started that make me happier and happier we did it. So right now, at least for me, you've helped even my depression even more because it's showing that I am doing good out there.
And great
And-
job.
Yes.
Stick with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Jan, thank you very much for sharing our private link with a stranger. I was just kidding. No, thank you very much for sharing that link, Jan, because I'm really glad to have Bill on here. This show is a way of physically there. You can see faces and hear voices, and I thank all of you. Well, thank you very much, Bill, for
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
We losing Anthony left and right. So what about you, Gail? Gail Marie, did you have any questions or comments for Bill? Because I know you disappeared for a minute.
Yeah, sorry, I had to disappear for a second. My
That's
fiance
okay.
came home, but no, I think it's great. You know, I have people in my fiance's family that dealt with alcoholism, and they just kind of just let it go. So I really appreciate you taking the steps of saying, you know, that this is something that has to stop, and I want to be better. And you're doing the best that you can, and like Nikki said, one day at a time. And I think that you got to remember that there's going to be people that want to support you and want to be there for you, and that's the people that you want to focus on. And the people who want to just not forgive you or not be in your life anymore, that's you don't need them in your life, you know. So keep being positive and keep going one day at a time, and I think you're going to be great.
Well, thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask everybody that's on here right now, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want everybody on the panel to ask and to answer independently, and I'll start. And the final question of the night is going to be, because we've all been through depression, we've all been rock bottom at some point, one way or another. Is life worth living, and why? And I'll start that off because, yes, and as I said in my comment, the world is not ready to lose me. I help so many, and no matter how I feel, even if I'm brought to the brink of despair, I have brought 100 people out of theirs, and that's the most important thing to me. And that is what my key that says life is worth living. And Anthony, just so you know, everybody on the panel is going to answer the question I just did. I'm going to ask, starting with Nikki next, is life worth living, and why?
1,000,000% yes, because at the end of the storm, there's always a rainbow. And as long as you can live in that faith and believe that this is just one moment in the span of so many, you're here for a reason, so don't take it from yourself. So, that's...
Yeah.
What about you, Gabe? Is life worth living? Why?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm fortunate to have a fantastic wife and kid that helped me get out through these rough days. And I still sort of hold the world to this sort of wonder of what's going to happen tomorrow, you know. And I think if I, it's the one thing that sort of keeps me back from that threshold of if I end it all today, then I'm going to miss what happens tomorrow. And I think that's
a
important.
great quote. I like that.
And because I want to know, you know, there's always tomorrow until there isn't. And
And then there's still something beyond.
I'm not going to make that choice. Something else is going to already do it for me. It's inevitable. So I'm going to do what I can to be the best I can.
Jan says, all I can say is turn the page. It's new. You don't know what is there. Similar to what you're saying, Gabe, there's always tomorrow. And Bill says, I have a lot of people that I take care of, and I won't stop, and people help me out when I need it. Per you, big guy. Well, thank you very much for that, Bill. But that's what I meant by the world isn't ready to lose me. I take pride and love in what I can do for other people. What about you, Anthony? Is life worth living, and why?
Whew. Yeah, I mean, ultimately it is. Right? You gotta take the good with the bad. I mean, nothing. If we only had good, would it be worth living if everything was only great?
Would you actually know what good or great is?
Would it be exciting? Like, part of what keeps me kind of grounded is knowing that my horrible days, it just makes the good days that much better.
Right.
Yes. That's true. A lot of people don't understand that if you don't go through struggle, you don't know what being happy is like.
Yes.
You just won't appreciate it.
Like that rich princess girl who loses that car because they got grounded. They don't really understand the difference if everything's been handed to them.
Right.
And eventually it's still tragic for them in their own world because it's one of the worst things they've dealt with. But they don't understand. Gail Marie, is life worth living, and why?
Definitely. Yes, it is. And I think it's easy to say that when we're in a good mood and we're talking about positive things, but I think it's also important to remember that when we're in the low times. I have met someone that has made my life so much better and made it more worth living. And I think that I really like that phrase you use and you came up with the world's not ready to lose me. And I think that can be a really good mantra for anyone who's going through a rough time or doesn't know where to go or doesn't know what their purpose is. You know, I can't wait to see the new Disney movie, even though that sounds small, like looking forward to.
I want to see a Scream 5. Like, that should be a goal.
I want to see a good Transformers movie.
Right.
Oh, come on, that's not fair. You got to pick something plausible.
Just one.
Right.
Just one.
Yeah, so it's definitely worth it. Yeah.
It is. The thing about my thing is the world ain't ready to lose me. Is I kind of pull the hate for myself away from myself. And I focus more on what has happened to other people. And no matter who you are, if you see the impact you make on other people, if you actually get a chance to look, see, sit down and work it all out, you'll realize how important you are. Yeah. And Bill, I know you're a surprise guest and everything, and you're on here, but you get the same damn question. So, is life worth living, and why?
Yes, at one time I didn't think so. I have to be honest about that. I slipped my wrist. I was drunk too, but at one time I didn't. That was my way of getting out, you know, because I couldn't face. See, I realized later that there's a positive and a negative in life. You know, you have hot, cold, love, hate. You know, pain, pleasure, and in order to appreciate one, you have to know the other.
Right.
And I started realizing that. And the life is full of a lot of positive things, you know, even the stuff we're going through today, you know, I can still go out there and smile, you know, and because life to me now is precious. Before I used to think that, you know, if I fell off the earth, it wouldn't make a difference. True, it might not make a difference with a majority of the people on this planet, but it would make a difference to some others, and it would, you know, and it would affect them. And I have to look at that too, you know. I just can't just shut the door and say, well, that's that. I have to live life, accept it on its terms, good or bad. I'm going to face some battles in the future, that I know, but I'm not going to run away like I used to. You
Right.
know,
Good for you.
Gotta
Yeah.
see it
you
through.
know, that's life is precious.
Yeah.
It is. You have to find the good things. Well, I'm just going to leave it on that one, actually. You do have to find the good things in life. You do have to pay attention and realize that there is a lot more expected coming, and almost everybody really hit on that in one way or another. That there is a tomorrow and there is a change coming, and it's your choice whether it's a good or bad change. So always, always keep that in mind. As you've heard on this show, everybody here has gone through some form of depression one way or another. They've handled it in different ways. And sometimes when we're at those lowest moments, we don't think we're ever going to get out of it. We think it's the end for us. We don't think anybody can pull us out of it. But the six people we have right now are proof that you can be pulled out of it. And we've been through the deepest, darkest things. We've maybe not been in the same situation, but we've had the same feelings of where you may be. And we thought that there was no end. A trick to getting through this sometimes is lists. Lists are very important. Making lists possibly for the good and the bad aspects of your life, the people you do impact, what you do for others. So if you're really in that funk and you can't get out of it, start writing stuff down. Because unlike just thinking about situations, your mind can wander. And you can start thinking about something really happy like a theme park and end up with the tragic death of somebody and then your own mortality and people you've lost, and you can spiral so deep. But when you write something positive down, it sticks with you in more ways than just a thought. You are literally you are making it real by writing it down. So start that list of people important to you, people you've helped, good qualities you have. If you don't believe you have them, think of good qualities other people have said you had. Unfortunately, I'm going to apologize to Gabe before I say this, but ask a friend to write down 10 positive things about you. Sorry, Gabe, I was tired.
No, it's fine. It's okay.
But that was a really good aspect too, and something to try to do. I want to ask a really quick question of Bill here, and this is actually related to the alcoholism. We allow drinking on this show. Now, when somebody drinks in front of you, do you think it's important to be able to handle that, or to stay away from watching other people drink?
Well, that's a judgment call within yourself. It's more like, if you even feel that you watching somebody else drink might make you teeter over to that side, that way, yes, you're best to stay away. But eventually you're going to realize it's not going to affect you, and you can't shun your friends because they drink. I mean, that's a poor excuse to me. I have friends that drink. I just don't associate with them as much because I'm not ready yet. But I do. I'm not going to stop being their friend. Some of them don't even realize I have a problem. They're in denial of their problem. How can they understand mine? So it's a judgment call within yourself that you have to make. You feel you can walk into a party store and just buy a candy bar, and if you're in front of your friends and they drink. I went to a wedding reception. I didn't touch a drop. So.
I think that's what you have to learn. I mean, I do think it's important to learn eventually that the problem is if you can't handle that, it's not their fault for doing what they've done the whole life. You have to sometimes register that it's the way you're viewing it. And that maybe if you can't be around it, don't. But you're going to lose the friends who would support you sometimes by trying such things. Last but not least, Bill says, depression is not recognized by too many people. They just say, get over it.
Yep.
And if that happens, get over that friend.
Right.
Yes.
Move on to somebody else. The answer is never get over it. I don't care what your problem is, what your addiction is, what your depression is caused by, whether you broke up with somebody, you're going through divorce, or even somebody lost somebody they love. Get over it is not a reason or an excuse or help in any way. And if you're one of those people that say that, shut the fuck up and don't talk. We don't need to hear that shit. Nobody does. You can't just get over it. And if you say that, you don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. And anybody that's truly dealing with depression knows that.
Right.
But anybody truly dealing with that depression, they can get over that, friend. Move on to people who are positive influences in your life. Depression is a disease. You're absolutely right, Jan. And I will do a trivia podcast. I think we're going to have to try it. Nikki, take the hoodie off. I'm not wearing a hoodie, but I'll take this off if you want. It's a couple days late, but I can do it. So thank you. My name is Keith Litfin. Today's topic has been, let me remove that comment first. There we go. Has been, we've got the funk dealing with depression. We were just talking about what it's like to go through dealing with depression, how you pull yourself out of it. Because just as much as going through it is important to you, learning how to escape is equally important.
Right.
So never forget. And here to Your Shoulder Voice, just so you know, we don't do it a lot right now. Hopefully it's going to blow up to that. If you ever need somebody to talk to, go to our website, go to our Facebook page, hop on the messenger. One of our regular shoulders will come and talk to you about anything if you just need somebody to talk to. If you do it through the website, you can even do it anonymously, so we don't even know who you are. So feel free to do that at www.yourshouldervoice.com. And if you don't do that, like, share, follow, and subscribe to see more shows on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope. And I got them all. I think I'm almost getting it down, but Periscope's got to go because they're disappearing right when I get them down. We do not have a Sunday show coming up. Our next topic is called What's Wrong With Me? That is on Wednesday, January 20th. That topic is about when you feel like you just, no matter how hard you try, you just can't get a break. You can't catch a break. You don't understand why maybe girls don't like you. Maybe family doesn't accept you. No matter what it happens to be, maybe the friends don't want to hang out with you. And sometimes it's not your fault, but you start to wonder, what's wrong with me? And that's what we're going to talk about. What takes you. It's very similar to our depression. It often leads to depression, so it's kind of a jumping, we just went backwards. It's kind of a jumping backwards point here. But it's a very serious issue that people deal with because that can lead to more severe situations, even suicide, which is something we never want to see. Because I don't care what anybody says, there's nothing wrong with you. There never is. You just don't always fit into everybody's idea of what's perfect, but you know what? They're usually the ones that are wrong.
Right.
But thank you very much for being here. I've had a great time. Nikki, you were fantastic. You get emotional, and I really appreciate that, Nikki. It's very important to show the raw side of people. I've had it happen to me, and I think everybody on this show has at one point or another. So never feel bad about that. We're always here for you, and our group is here for you. So
That's that warrior pride coming out where I don't want to shed my tears of sorrows, I got to wear that.
when you spend your whole life hiding, it's really hard.
I know.
It is. Gabe, you're one of the ones that hides best, and I think it's partly due with that Alan Allman monotone voice you got, so we can't really tell.
Yeah.
Because you're just like that person that you're talking to is like, well, I've been depressed for a long time. It's been really hard. And then you go see the latest movie. Goes, it's a really good movie. It made me really happy and excited at all times. Then you go see your daughter's rehearsal. Goes, she did a really good job. She pretty much did everything she was supposed to. Got the audience going really good. So.
Hopefully, I'm more animated than that sometimes. Let's not send me into depression on the way out.
No, Bill is the king.
Right.
Bill says there's nothing wrong with me. I am the king. Bill, you're absolutely right. Janway says Bill is stronger than he thinks, and I think you're talking about your Bill, Jan, and you're absolutely right as well. You all should be kings or queens in your own mind, and you should because it's your world. The thing is, no matter what anybody says, you think the world revolves around you. Got a newsflash for you. For you, the world does actually revolve around you. Physically. That's where it is.
That's your bubble.
Bill, our absolutely surprised guest. I was so glad to have you here. I'm glad you shared your story and your insight. I hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to maybe we'll see you again sometime. So thank you very much for being here, and good luck to you. You're going to get through it. Never stop trying. Because it's something you really want, I can tell, and as long as you want it, you can achieve it.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Gail Marie, how was yours? Was that Bill?
I think
Gail
you just
Marie.
got the echo. Sorry, you
Yeah,
got
that's
the
what
echo.
it was. Yeah, Gail Marie, how was your second show?
It was good. I loved it. I thought it was a really important topic and discussion, and I think we all kind of were able to give our own answers and our own experiences, which is part of what I love about this show. So
Well, we absolutely love having you. I love the way you carry the conversation out. You share your own experiences as well, and you don't hide anything, which is very important. You tell people exactly what you went through, and that's why we're here for you, and that's why Bill's here for us, because Bill's here all the time.
Yes.
So
Thank
we
you.
love that. But no, thank you for being here. We look forward to seeing you on several more shows, Gail Marie. You are amazing.
Thank you.
Anthony, thank you again for everything you do. You were great too. I know you're dealing with a lot consistently, and I'm glad you're constantly finding ways to get over it because that's what you need to do. And to you. That's all we get. We get the thumbs up.
Right.
That's okay. So, Anthony, how do you like the show? Does it help? Does it help you at all? Is it something good for you?
Oh yeah, no, it's really a little bit deep at times, but those are the good ones.
It's weird how that works.
If they don't make you feel anything, then something's not happening right in my eyes.
And it ain't a movement. It's a movement.
Yes.
How serious is she with her fiance? Very serious, Bill. Thank you for asking. Okay. So, and Ashley says that she loves you, Anthony. I mean, fuck the rest of us, but she loves you, Anthony. Thank you again for coming. You all return typically every Sunday and Wednesday for Ear, Shoulder, Voice. We moved ours to Tuesday. I'll be out of town until Wednesday. We'll return on Wednesday the 20th for our next topic. You all have a great night, and thank you for joining us.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. That was a good show.
Oh yeah.
Did you
that
put
went
Bill?
well.
Is Bill in the credits? Did I see his name in the credits?
I was waiting for Bill to actually see if he noticed. It's been there for a bit.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I haven't said thank you, Bill, because he's actually there. So I don't. But all that's on Bill's mind is, did you just say coming? I was like, that's on it.
Jeez
Good show.
Louise. That was a good show.
I think I feel better about this show than almost any show I've done. Not because of what we covered. What we covered was important because the way the chat was driven
Yeah.
and the fact that we had a guest come on I wasn't expecting, which was perfectly what I've dreamt this show would be. Somebody would come on and want us to share. So that was absolutely beautiful. Gail Marie, you're the good luck charm.
Aw, thank you.
So we didn't have Jamie. I was hoping we were going to have Jamie on here, but she got delayed on there.
I think we had a good set of stories. I mean, let's not see the negative. Let's see the silver lining.
Right.
And you got to see them both. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
And depression's rough. I never want to, even though it may happen, I never want to get as dark as, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just trying to grab my kitten. That helps with depression. But now he won't come to me. He keeps running away.
Well, that's my dog. My dog kept popping up in the middle
I
of it.
know, it was so cute.
I know. I tried to get him to go out before the show, but I think he has to go outside. I was like, hey, you lost. You have to wait for it.
He's laying in the doorway.
This is mine. Where you at, Bonsai? Now you can actually come by and say hi.
He's like, Dad, you don't want to play with me. I'm very upset right now.
Yeah, that's pretty much I saw a thank you. I just want everyone to know just levity and aggravation.
What?
I know, Bill. Bill, you are an important part of this show. It's not the same if you're not here. We've gone periods where you weren't here for the first half and like, we need Bill. Where's
Aw.
Bill?
You know here.
He's like the show mascot.
Yeah.
Like you have to be there on the sidelines. We need you.
We need
Yeah,
to
we
make
do.
t-shirts with Bill's name.
Yeah.
We get like the most humor too a lot of times. Like if it's getting deep, we can throw that up and it helps. And Bill's good at that because when I first started doing trivia at the bar where I actually met Bill at Kelly's, was nervous, and Bill saw it, and Bill became the person that showed you can engage with me, you can banter with
Nice.
me and have fun, and the audience picks up on it. That's what he was really good at, so I really appreciate him.
Like
And he's doing
heckling
this,
you.
yeah,
He's
or
like
bringing
that.
humor where it's not always ready, and
Yeah.
that's what this is about. And he's doing the same thing here, and I love it because it's really adding to everything. I love our entire chat every time they're in there. I loved having the other Bill on here. Big surprise. The warning would have been good, but no warning is better.
Yeah.
Because it's truly, and
Lots
if that
of
works
cherry,
out,
too.
if it works out one or two more times, I'll start posting the link directly on the website
Yeah.
There you
so
go.
people can pop on
Yeah.
some shows. Some shows I might not if we have like special people who want to share big stories.
Yeah.
We might not. But it's always absolutely amazing. I love all of you. Gail Marie, you've got to be on more shows. You're great.
Thank
Yes.
you.
You really
I
are.
appreciate that really because I know I'm not trying to but with depression you don't believe the good things all the time, so I appreciate you saying that, and I like being a part of the conversation. I know sometimes I take it over or say things that
No,
are
that's
not.
Nikki's job. You're fine.